A living master, which I am, is someone who has realized the truth and has realized the truth of love. Many masters have realized the truth, but to realize the truth is not to realize the truth of love. So I have realized both of those. And my teaching fundamentally is to impart freedom to the people who come to me. And freedom is not something that we easily understand. It is normal to pursue money and position as a source of freedom, but from the lives of the rich and famous, we see that they're not free at all. And what I call freedom, and what I endeavour to impart to the people who come to me, is freedom from the tyranny of my own emotions, my guilt, my fear, my doubt, my anger, my jealousy, my frustration, and self-judgment. So I endeavour to bring the people to an awareness of that. And it's not easy, because most people believe that their emotions are what they are. And I show the people that the emotions are not what they are, that without their emotions, they are free. Yeah, my teaching also endeavours to impart that there is only one I in the universe, and I, the person listening to these words, am that. We tend to objectify everything, and so when I say I am the only I in the universe, many people, or most people who come to me, start to objectify the I as being me, the object. But I'm a you to everybody. I'm not I. And they don't call their mother or their father, their children or the ones they love most, they never call anyone else I. It's always everybody else is a you. And so it necessarily follows that I am the only I. And if I can only take responsibility for that I start to discover a whole new dimension of life and existence. I have a body, and that is true in everybody's experience. For I endeavour for everybody to believe in or to discover only what's in their own experience. What's in the experience of another person is not the truth. The truth is always what is in my experience. So it is obvious that I have a body, and it's obvious that I have a place inside of me that is often very still, very sweet, very much at ease, and very harmonious. So my body and this place inside of me is completely compatible, really. But what comes between my body and my beauty, which again I call me, the me inside the person listening to these words, is myself. Now, people usually say, I want to be true to myself, I am doing this myself. Myself is the thing that we think is what I am. But where I come from, that is, from this place of enlightenment where I speak from, myself is the problem maker in my entire life. If I did not have myself, I would have no problems, no difficulties, and I would live harmoniously in this body and in contact with this sweet place of consciousness that is inside of me. But due to the way of things, due to the way of our society and how we bring up our children, how I was brought up, how we're all brought up, we develop a self. And that self consists of all the disappointments, all the all the frustrations that we have known since we were born. In other words, all the emotional responses that we've had to pain, hurt, heartbreak, sexual disappointment, they all gather in our psyche, just inside our body, and I call that myself. Now, it is a practice in Eastern teachings to talk about a higher self. Or where I come from, there is no higher self. There's only higher degrees of ignorance, pain, insecurity, and disappointment. Now, that emotion is just inside our body. And we all know how quickly that comes up into our senses and into our brain and takes over our existence. Take the case of anger. How quickly anger rises in us. Whereas I say, we have no right to be unhappy. We have no right to have anger in us. We have no right to have guilt. We have no right to have resentment. In other words, we have no right for any of this negativity, self-judgment, judgment of others. We have no right for that. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have it, but I'm saying we shouldn't have the right for it. And that's quite different. For once I give up the right to my anger, the right to my negativity and frustration, once I give up the right to it, it starts to lose its hold on me. And then I start to diminish myself and have this wonderful thing which I call my being starts to come forward from within me in the place of consciousness, and I then unite with my body. And my body and my being are one, and I can live a harmonious life without any of the difficulties that people have to force upon themselves and upon the earth through their emotions and negativity, which also includes their wanting and their trying and competing. I do not compete. Any children that I teach or have anything to do with, the first thing that I say to them is, don't try. Now we all know, we hear the teachers, the parents saying to the children, try, come on, you must try more. And I come along and say, stop trying. For if a child is trying to write and handle a pencil, and you tell them to try, there is an immediate tension arises in the child. Whereas if you say, now don't try, stop trying to do it. Hold the pencil, do your best, relax, and let's see you draw this if you can, or what you do draw. No trying. And then the same thing is no competing, because that also arises. Competition, frustration, resentment, fear of failure, all those things which are emotions. Whereas if I'm going to compete in a race, I don't have to compete. I've just got to do my best. And if I always do my best in things, I don't have to try. And if I don't win, I'm not a failure. What can I do if I've done my best? What more could I do? That leads to the taking of drugs, to the need of position, to the need to win under any circumstances, because when I take drugs, I can't really do my best. So it spoils sport, it spoils everything. And that's another example of how emotion spoils our life, our sport, our very existence is spoiled by these emotions. And there is a place of stillness and silence within, and that transfers to the bodily existence outside, and I give up trying and I give up wanting, and I just live a normally natural life instead of the normal life that people live of worry, anxiety, wanting, competing, trying, getting angry, frustrated, feeling a failure, judging myself as I'm no good. All this stuff, that is not necessary. But the people have to be told that because they think it is necessary. And I am here to inform them by my very living life and my words, which are always in their own experience. It is not necessary, all these negative emotions that I harbour and think I have a right to. To be enlightened, many people say that it is to be loving. But do those people know? Do they know what love is? For an enlightened master deals with the person in front of them in a loving way. And if this person, for instance, has deep fundamental emotional problems, then the master, the enlightened master, is likely to be very severe with them to bring them to their senses. And people might say, oh, you're so cold and you're so cruel. And that's not the truth, of course, because love is often, when it comes from an enlightened intellect, love is like an operation that takes out the canker, the cancer of unhappiness out of a person. And so that is love. Love, for instance, speaks the truth like I speak the truth. And that is not always comfortable to people, to tell them that their emotions are not the truth, that their emotions are the cause of all wars, all argument, all broken heart on this earth. They like to say, as people have said to me, but I love my emotions, I like them. And I say, well, if you like your emotions, then you have no place with me, and because I'm going to get rid of them for you so that you can have some peace, and so that the people that you live with can have some peace. Because an emotional person, well, we all know what it's like to live with an emotional person. It doesn't give the people around peace. So if we're talking love, how can we talk about love being an emotion? Because love is not an emotion. Love is a state. An emotion is a condition. A condition rises and never lasts, and no emotion ever lasts. But love being a state, the way I'm speaking about love, it is forever. It is here now in me. It will be here in me tomorrow, the next day. It'll be in me forever, because I am not subject to my emotions. In other words, I am the master of myself. And that is every man and woman's right on this earth, except that we have been informed by our parents, grandparents, and our societies to seek the wrong thing. We are seeking what the scientists are seeking, a happiness or a fulfillment outside ourselves, an explanation of things outside ourselves. Whereas the only fulfillment is to seek the explanation within ourselves. And the more we do that, the more we find a peace and a harmony and also an intelligence. Because I am talking about intelligence. You know, very few people in the world are intelligent. There are geniuses, but that's a partial intelligence, isn't it? To be a genius at writing music or writing words, to be a genius in anything. You go and look at that genius's love life, for instance, and you'll find a great discrepancy. Or the great artist who cut off his ear from frustration. A genius, they say, but not where I come from. A genius, a true genius, is someone who has discovered the intelligence of being able to master their self, to be free of the pain, the self-imposed emotional pains of existence. That's intelligence. Otherwise, the world is clever, and there's no doubt that the world is cleverly intelligent. But that's not intelligence, because most of their love lives are in a mess, or if they're not in a mess now, they will be tomorrow. Well, organised religions have caused more pain and misery and wretchedness on the face of the earth than probably any other thing. And we seem to make excuses for what they have done to the people in the way of wars and wrong notions of what God or love or truth is. We seem to say, oh, well, that was yesterday. We seem to think that the Catholic religion is different today to what it was yesterday, when it forced men and women into all sorts of suffering. For instance, the notion of sin and the notion of eternal damnation and the notion of being judged by God. These are all terribly fearful things to young minds. And when a young mind is told this by an authority, it really takes it to be the truth. And then it sees the Catholics around it suffering and committing all the sins that they're supposed to not commit. And of course, the young mind sees a double standard, but the fear remains, I will be judged. And I can tell everyone, no one will be judged. Only yourself causes the pain in you. That's all, nothing else. For it is a holy existence, a wonderful existence, a good existence, if we can only get rid of ourselves. Many people say that they want to find God, but then where do they look for God? In an organised religion? There's no God in any organised religion or in any tradition, because God, or whatever it is that we call God, which I like to also call life, is now. And so how can you look to God in something in the future, in something in a book, in something in the past? You can't do it if God or life is now. What you have to look at is your own experience of your own being, your own self now, and see what is the impediment to me reaching the state of being, the state of peace that the enlightened masters speak about. What is the impediment? And if we look closely enough, we will see that our minds never stop. They're always restless, always wanting, always seeking, always comparing, always being active. And we will see that that mind is one of the things that stops me from having the intelligence or increasing my perception so that I can see into the truth inside of me. The other impediment I will notice if I start to truly look for God inside of me, which of course is the only place God can be, is my emotions are always moving. I'm angry this minute, and yet in a few hours' time the anger subsides. I'm guilty of something about what I did to my mother or didn't do to her, and when that is emotionally provoked, up it comes, and I can no longer be still because my emotions power my mind. And if my emotions are strong, then my mind will never stop. And as I reduce my emotions, which is to reduce myself, my mind, thank God, starts to have a little bit of peace in it. Then I can see where the source of my problem is. It is my mind, the restlessness of my mind, and the seething of my emotions. I start to see, oh, when I get rid of those, or they are dormant, then somehow I know a great peace inside of me. And of course that peace is the beginning of God. For God is nothing, and peace is nothing, but emotional misery and upset and angers and guilt, that's not nothing. That disturbs my whole system and the systems of other people who are around me. Of thousands of people who hear the truth of my teaching and endeavour to live it, because it's a total teaching. It's not just about finding God. It's about, well, I speak about love, life, truth, death, and God. They're really the only important things in our life. Love, well, our love lives are usually in a mess, sometimes heartbroken, other times reaching the heights of beauty when we first come together, and then not long after that, becoming familiar and allowing an emotional distance to come between us, and although we live together, being apart, which is a terrible thing, because the world knows very little about love, as we can see from the experience of love of the people around us, people in the newspapers. The human condition of love is atrocious, inflicting misery on most people and most of the children. And I speak about life. Now life, as I said earlier, is now. And life is free. And to be free is to actually be life now. Well, we are life. Each one of us is alive. So we must be life. Now the whole thrust of my teaching is to realize the life that I am, not the living that I am. The living that I am is the circumstances of my life. But the life that I am is behind the circumstances. A wonderful place, which of course is behind the death of our body. So it's very important, is this life, to realize it. Then I speak of truth. Now, nobody knows what truth is, because as soon as you ask anybody, they might give you an opinion, but they might think it's being truthful, as the world says it. Truthful to my partner, truthful to my boss, and honest, not putting my hand in the till. No. To be when I talk of truth, I speak of the importance to every one of us of living a life of truth. And that's simply not to give in to my emotions. For my emotions are not truth. You see, truth is forever. Truth never changes, never goes up, never goes down, obviously, or it wouldn't be one of the verities of life. But emotion goes up, gets excited, and in a couple of days gets depressed, and then goes up again through some excitement, or a drug or a drink, as an escape from myself, but it doesn't help because down I come into depression or mood several days later. So those emotions can't be the truth. So the truth is for me to gradually dissolve my attachment to being emotional. That's the truth. Then I talk about death. Now, one of the things that nobody really realizes nor wants to face is that everybody listening to me now, including the speaker, is going to die. It might be tonight. It might be tomorrow morning. But as sure as eggs, it's going to happen. We don't like to look at that. We rather amass a fortune. We rather amass a reputation. We rather amass anything, gather anything, fame, but we dare not look at death. If we looked at death, we would be horrified and unable to do all those things with the same attachment as though they were the most important thing on earth. If we truly look at death and face it, that it's going to happen to even the ones we love, tonight or tomorrow perhaps, then we get a realistic idea of life. We don't assume that everything's going to last forever, which is one of the main problems of people's lives. We are vulnerable. We are uncertain. We can't be certain of anything once we know that death is waiting to wipe out everything, all our memory, all our loved ones, everything is wiped out when the body dies. So if we can only look at that, and I talk about that, because the more I can talk about that to people, And particularly if I could talk about it to children in the sensible way that I do talk about it, a different generation would start to appear on this earth. But that, I doubt very much, is going to happen. But I do my best. And then finally I talk about God. And of course God is all these other things: love, life, truth, death. God is the summation of all those things. So in our love life, in our love, my love of woman, for instance, there is God in it. You know, I love the truth before I love my woman. And I love my woman, but I put the truth first. So I don't just love the woman, I love the truth first. That is, I will not have unhappiness in my body, anger, fear, resentment, doubt, guilt. I will not have those emotions in my body, because if I did, I would not be able to love my woman. Because when you are angry, you can't love your woman totally. It's only a partial love. When you are guilty, if a woman's guilty, she can't give herself to her man totally. And that's what she wants to do. So I put truth or God first in love. That is, I will not have unhappiness in me. Then I can love her rightly, this woman. But I put God first, for it takes God to eliminate, or the truth, for me to be responsible for myself and eliminate my negativity, so that I can love her and fulfill her, which is what love between man and woman is supposed to be about. Yes, part of my teaching is that woman is the prize of existence, and man is the means of her realizing that wonderful mystery that she is. So woman can't do it on her own in the sense I'm talking of it, and nor can man discover love. Man and woman can discover love, the love of God, which is outside existence. For anyone who realizes God will realize that that power is behind all existence, outside existence. But the place to realize love, as we know it, as the creatures that we are, is in existence, obviously, for we are sensory creatures, and love is a sensational thing, a sensory thing between us. And there's no doubt, if we look at man's experience, that all he thinks about when he's not competing or wanting or trying or fretting or being frustrated or angry is woman. He's always pursuing woman, either in his mind or in his body somewhere or other. That's his primal thought, is to unite with woman. And woman, because she is such a prize that every man on earth thinks about her, can't stop thinking about her, no matter how much he hides it. She is the source of love in existence. And that's why he pursues her, for she has the mystery of love in her body, and man is always endeavouring to enter her body, either in his imagination or with his physical body. That must, to anyone who's intelligent, suggest that the source of love in existence is in woman. And yet woman can't realize it, because how many women have realized the source of love in their bodies so that they are free, have a trouble-free love life? Very, very few. And that's because man has to love them, to take them into their own mystery, for them to say, oh, I know what love is at last, trouble-free love. This man truly loves me. He's not angry. He's not trying to do something to me. He just loves me. He's not trying to excite me. He's not trying to get something from me. He just loves me with his body in his whole being. Now, when a woman is loved like that, she realizes her own mystery, that this is what she is for and this is what she is, to be loved. And that is her fulfillment and her heart's desire. And when a man can reach a woman like that, and she gives him this extraordinary beauty and mystery that she is, she gives it to him through her body and her presence, he, of course, is fulfilled. He utters, "This is paradise on earth, to love you." That is paradise on earth. And she says, to be loved by you is paradise on earth. That's the truth, for there's only the two of us. There's only woman and there's only man. Nothing else that counts here. Nothing else. Yes, one of the most difficult and recent parts of my teaching for people to comprehend in their own experience is when I say love is not a feeling. Love is a sensation, but it's not a feeling. Now this is difficult for us all because the whole world lives off feelings. And feelings come from ourself. And feelings are our emotions. And our feelings are an interpretation of experience based on the past. Now all experience happens in the present. And we get a feeling by interpreting an event in the present from through an emotion in the past. And that gives us a feeling of fear. Say I see my woman with her arms around another man, for instance. That's an event in existence. If I am going to not see that as an event in existence and deal with it in the moment here, I will get a feeling because I've read about it or heard about it or it's happened to me in the past emotionally, that would mean that she does not love me. And so I'll get a feeling of jealousy or resentment based on the interpretation of that action through my emotions of the past. But say it turns out to be her long-lost brother who's just turned up. You see, my feeling was not true. And we live off these feelings. We wake up in the morning and we feel moody or we feel depressed. We don't know why we feel depressed, but the whole household will soon know. As soon as I go into the kitchen for breakfast, they'll know that mum or dad is depressed, got a mood on. Don't say the wrong thing. Instead of mum or dad finding out, why am I moody? Why am I depressed like this? Instead of finding the cause of it, we look for the effect of it. We say, well, I'm depressed because mother died last week and I'm so depressed about it. Which again, where I come from, which is the place of enlightenment and lack of ignorance, shows that an avoidance of the truth of life. For the truth of life is that everybody dies. This is something that the human race just cannot comprehend because they will not face it. So mother died last week. Now isn't that wonderful? Meaning, although it can be sad, because there's a hole in my experience which can never be repeated again, of mum walking around, mum's voice, mum's this, that hole in my experience, it's only a hole in my experience, in the continuity of my experience. But the fact that mother died, because of the ignorance of our society, we feel the feeling of loss, because we are so fixated on the physical body, either of our loved ones or our mother, that when that body disappears or dies, we think the body was what we loved. That's because we do not put truth first. Now the truth of death is that there is no death, only death of the physical body. That's the truth of death. But because of our society, we do not face that. We do not know that. We will not face it. So when my mother dies, I get dreadfully unhappy, and I say, perhaps I'd say, oh, she shouldn't have died, she was so young. And that's the sort of stupid statement that you get from our ignorant society about men or women should not have died. Everybody dies right on time. Everybody is born right on time. And they vacate the body, and just the body dies right on time. So if only I could realize, and our society stops us from realizing the truth, that the end of the body is not the end of life, that life goes on. I do not teach survival. I do not teach that you're going to meet your mother and your father and various other people that you've loved when you die, because that's survival. And life is too vital to just repeat what's already been. Life is new, fresh, wonderfully immediate now, and no survival is in it, necessary in it. As a matter of fact, it's an insult to death to talk of survival. But that's not to disclaim that there is a psychic place just inside of us in which we have the impressions of the people that we loved, because love is very, very powerful, a powerful medium, and we have those impressions. And that's not to deny there's not a psychic place inside where we can see the dead. We can see people who have died sometimes, that people can see that. And because when something dies, when someone dies, the impulse of life stays present for some time in the senses, in the brain, the impulse of the life that they were. And the brain converts that impulse, even though it's dead, into the form that it knows. Or how many people know the formless of their dead one who happens to be in the room, they say. There's no form of it, no body form, no appearance, and yet they will swear, my mother, my child, or my son, they are here, I can tell you that now. How many people that happens to. But because of our media, the stupidity, ignorance, and materialistic attitude of the media, nobody's really allowed to say these things unless they're said as a joke. You know, the media runs a page on people's experiences with ghosts or other things, and it's a sort of a joke, isn't it? It's back at the back of the paper somewhere as a little joke we're having. No one speaks about it seriously, but to somebody who is truly in touch inside with the love of the one that has died, can have the knowledge, they are here in me. At this moment, they think it's in the room, but it's really inside them. Because when a person that I love dies, their body's gone forever, finished. I do not mourn the body that dies. That would be an insult to death, to the death, the life of death. What I know is that the love that I had for them has gone into me. Their love. Where am I going to die when I die after death? Where could I say that I'm going to rest? I'm going to rest in the being of those who love me. Now that's one of the mysteries of death that we can't rationalize, but I've said that because that happened to me when my second wife died. She entered me as sure as I am speaking here now. She entered me, and I knew where love goes. Love goes, dies into those who love. And there's no end to it, you see. If two people, if my children love me and my wife love me, and say the people love me, then each one who loves me, I will be in their bodies. That's the mystery of death. There is no limit to love, you see. Another part of my teaching is to bring people up to this facing of death. I used to run what I call facing myself sessions as I endeavoured to treat small groups. I limited them to 20 so that I could penetrate the human psyche, endeavouring to say, what do you feel? What do you feel? What do you feel? And when I started out, people had great difficulty saying what they felt. But as I ran these sessions over the years, the people that I was working on, the 20, and they would change each time, they would progress, they would get a better perception of things, a better perception inside. And that's the miracle of life. For I find that once I used to teach meditation, for instance, and I've got books and tapes on meditation, but after I taught it for long enough, I don't teach it anymore. People meditate if they need to meditate, but now I teach being. That means you don't have to meditate anymore once you've meditated, for it is useless to meditate for years and years and years. It leads to this state of being, which I teach in my seminars. And the state of being is, I am being now. And the people watching and listening to this video, they, if they could only be still enough, would see, I am being now. They are being now. Now in meditation, I have to close my eyes or sit down for 20 minutes or 5 hours or whatever it is, but I close my eyes and I have to take a part of the day to do that. Whereas in being, I can walk down the street, not with my eyes closed because I might walk into something. I can walk down the street in touch with this state of being. I can see everything with my senses and hear, but it does not disturb my state of being, for I am a being. I am a being. I am not just an earth being. An earth being is a sensory being. That means I'm dependent on my senses, whereas being is not dependent on the senses. It is like realizing the truth behind existence. It is inside of me, my being, and it is behind existence, and it is behind death of my body. So I can walk in peace, being, and everybody is being now. It's just that they're always, the mind and emotions are trying to be something, whereas to be nothing is to be, like now. And the mind is still and the emotions are still. And in these Facing Yourself sessions, once I introduced a new session called Kill Me Now, Not Tomorrow. Now, I would say to the people, can you say, from deep inside of you, to life, can you say, take anything that I am attached to from me, if it will make me more conscious, more love. Now, of course, that's quite demanding, especially if people are truly sincere and serious, but that's how it's got to be. You have to be able to be prepared. I didn't say take it from me. I said if it be necessary, take whatever I am attached to from me. And of course that's like, kill me now, not tomorrow. Yes, I frequently come in touch with people who are, let's say, into a psychic experiences, who practice that mediumship, practice that, and who are into New Age, who are into, that is called the growth movement, all those myriad of teachings that are around now that when I was first entered by the spirit of intelligence 30-odd years ago, were not there. but they seem to have proliferated. And the first thing that I say with people involved in what generic seems to be for many of these things is the growth movement. The first thing in my teaching that I say, if ever is mentioned at my seminars, is the spiritual life is not about growing or about growth. The spiritual life is about abandoning and dissolving. So they get the wrong idea, because the growth movement is based on rationality, mentality made by men and women's minds, is not the truth. And the spiritual life and spiritual master is involved only in the spirit, which is God, realization. Now, if you follow the growth movement, it satisfies yourself that you feel you've been to a good seminar and you've learnt a nice lot of things. But the idea in spiritual life is not to learn anything. It's to discover what's in your own experience indeed. But that's immediately now. And to reduce your learning, to reduce your attachment to your memory, which is what learning is about. Attachment to the memory and attachment to experience. It's to reduce the necessary attachment to the experience that the human race seems to get. It's all right to have experience, but it's not vital, and it's not necessary to have attachment to experience. For instance, a man or a woman has a love affair, and they truly love one another. And one doesn't love the other as much as the other, and breaks away or leaves them. Now, if I'm the one that's left, the normal thing that happens is that I hold on to the experience of all the beautiful love that we made, the two of us, which is now gone. I hold on to that. I'm attached to that. And I keep thinking about that. And that attaches me to that event, which ended so heartbreakingly for me. So by thinking about the good times in that relationship, what I'm actually doing is holding on to the pain of it. Now, the spiritual life that I teach is to say, stop it. Stop indulging yourself getting kicks out of the past, because you'll get a kick in the backside which you won't like from the same past, the misery of it. Now stop it. Come to your senses. Let her or him go. Be now. Because if you're trailing an attachment to a previous love behind you, you won't be able to love when the new one comes, which is probably inevitable. You will be holding on. Part of your love will be behind you somewhere back there. And the person that you're going to love will never know your full love, and will probably leave you anyway, because you won't be able to love them fully. But if you let that old love go, because it's gone, it has gone, that's the truth. Let it go. And then open yourself again to love. Don't be afraid of love. Open yourself to love. And love again if it comes to you. Fully. As fully as you can. Not trailing the love of someone else behind you. Now, another difficult thing for people, because we've been raised in a normal way and not a natural way. The natural way is where what can be called guru, or the enlightened master, spoke to everybody, not just to a few. And when that's the natural way, that way back in time used to be what kept the truth and right love on the earth. But since the scientists got rid of God, got rid of love, because no scientist can ever talk of love, because it's not a science. Since they got rid of that, they got rid of Guru, and they got rid of the enlightened master. and made all the people frightened of the enlightened master. Because the people that come to my meetings, many of them, if they were to tell their mother and father that they were with an enlightened master who was informing them, the mother or father would say, "You're being brainwashed. You're being corrupted. How much money is he after from you? What's he want?" Because they have no knowledge of Guru, of I, the living truth, that a man can be in this existence, because it's all been covered over by the ignorance of scientific thought, by that which deals only with materialism, that which is outside in the senses. And we are not just sensory creatures. We are more psychic creatures. We are more inward creatures. Because when we are in love, where do you see that in the world? No. When I am in love, it is something that I sense inside of me, not outside of me. When my heart is broken, where does that happen? Outside? No. That happens inside. A sense of great loss is inside of me. The sense of love is inside of me. The sense of God is inside of me. The sense of truth is inside of me. Where are all these things outside? No, they don't exist. Only in the scientific mind, an intellectual mind that likes to imagine things. So it is difficult for people to really comprehend that if I want anything from anybody or expect anything from anybody, I am being selfish. Now that's not to say if I lend somebody £100, that I don't expect to get it back. We are talking then again of an external transaction. Whereas wanting something from somebody, expectation, is an inner state. Such as, if I expect you to love me because I've done so much for you, like a parent might say to its child, "I've done so much for you. Why don't you love me more?" That's an expectation of selfishness. And if I expect somebody to be kind to me, then that's an expectation of selfishness. I cannot expect anyone to be anything but what they are. Otherwise, I am being selfish. I want everybody to be precisely what they are. But that does not mean that what they are their fears, their doubts, their violent emotions, their resentments and their jealousies. That is not what they are. So I don't want anything to do with that, thank you very much, because that's what you're not, unless you come to me and say, "Help me." Then I can help you to be what you are. Another part of my teaching that's likely to upset feminists and some women is that I say that woman is not supposed to think. She's not made to think. Man induced thinking into woman and taught her how to think, as he taught her how to get sexually excited by exciting her and taking her perception of love away from her. She's not made to think. Any woman truly who has got any sense of the perception of her being and knows that it is thinking that bothers her, knows that it is man's incessant rationalizing, his incessant defining of things all the time, his incessant talking about the past, talking about this to him, it nearly drives her mad. What she loves is the silence of not having to think about anything. And that's because she is consciousness. See, love is consciousness. And thinking comes from awareness. Awareness is the world of the senses out here, where we look and see and smell and taste and touch, feeling, etc. That's the world of awareness. The world of consciousness is the world of being inside, which is still and silent and fulfilling in its own being, if only I can be intelligent or perceptive enough to unite with it, even for a short time. Now, woman comes out of that. She comes out of that silence and stillness. She is love. She is consciousness. All she needs is to be loved. And love, of course, is communication. So woman doesn't really need to discuss love and truth with man, because love, if she's loved, she's in communication. That's why she doesn't want to think or talk about it. Thanks very much. Just love me. And that communicates to me. For love is the only communicator to woman. But due to our society, due to what man has created, and through making sexual love to her, he's put his ignorance, he's put his excitability into her body. Over the years, the millennia, he's gradually transformed her psychic purity into a rationalizing mind that he's put into her, just like his own. He's made her like himself. And because he lives off excitement, and he was the first one to. He was the first one to need excitement instead of love, because he turned his back on woman as love. He taught her how to get sexually excited. And today he still continues to do it, because then he has her in his power. He can do anything with her if she lives off excitement. He's only got to touch her in the right place, and she's vulnerable immediately to him. But if she says no to excitement, it is love that I love, and it's love that I am. And I want sensational love, which means I make love with my physical body. And that's sensational. It's not due to excitement, because it's always beautiful to be in my body for a man. That's sensational. Doesn't depend on his imagination. Doesn't depend on excitement. I am already the prize of existence when man enters me. I am his beauty. He loves me. That's sensational. And love is sensational, not excitable. A noble man is a man, first of all, who will listen. In his own experience, he will discover that he is sexual, that he has mistaken sex for love. A noble man has discovered that this is not good enough, the way he has treated woman in the past by getting her sexually excited to attain his ends. A noble man says, it's not good enough, and I will do my best to be rid of this force that takes me over. And because he is noble, he does it for woman. He does it for love. Woman is love. He does it for love. And then he becomes more love. It all comes down to stillness is the way. It's the name of one of my first books. Stillness is the way. Because while the mind is active, there is no stillness in the body. And there is worry, is potential in everybody. While the emotions are active, there is no stillness in the body. And so I cannot know the way that is stillness, that takes me down inside the psyche, down, down, down inside my own body, into a place of reality. This place of being that I talk about is absolutely still, silent, no form there, no thinking there, no wanting, no trying. And it is in every one of us, underneath the unstillness, that we have been taught by scientists, by religions, by traditions, by ceremonies, by growth, by trying to get something instead of to be nothing.